Welcome to the Health Audit by the iThrive Academy. This is a clinical deep dive for practitioners who refuse to accept any chronic condition as a final diagnosis for their patients. We dissect real world cases we've solved at iThrive through the lens of functional medicine so that you, as a practitioner, can get better at doing the work you do. I am Mugdha Pradhan. I'm the CEO and founder of iThrive, and I'm a functional nutritionist myself.
Hi, my name is Manisha. I'm an expert functional nutritionist and an academy instructor at iThrive.
Today, we are auditing the case of a 14-year-old girl from India. When she came to us, she was facing a health battle most adults would find overwhelming. She was diagnosed with severe hypothyroidism, had a history of TSH levels hitting 100 in 2019. She was heavily dependent on thyroxine, and yet her weight continued to climb, and her internal health was deteriorating. Look, when a 13 or a 14-year-old stops interacting with the world, we shouldn't just look at the psychology. Naina, a little girl, had entered social hibernation because when her TSH hit 100, her brain and her nervous system lacked the metabolic energy needed to engage with the outside world. Besides which, she was struggling with chronic constipation, hair fall, and a staggering weight of 68 kgs. She had erratic meal patterns and needed large portion sizes to feel full. She was constantly hungry, a classic sign of leptin resistance, and was rapidly gaining weight despite medical interventions. So, Manisha, tell me this 14-year-old young girl, where did you even know how to begin? I mean, she came to us with a thyroid issue. How did you even start solving this case?
So we started with like usual root cause analysis, and in root cause analysis we found multiple nutritional deficiencies, infection levels pretty high, inflammation, lipid profile completely deranged, fatty liver was there.
In a 14-year-old kid?
Yes,
Wow.
and insulin resistance was there.
Did you also test for leptin for her or you didn't?
No, we didn't, but we did some things.
Okay, we'll talk about that later. Sorry. So, infection, which panel did you see all of this in?
We saw a CBC.
The WBC.
Yeah. So in that we could see the infection levels were pretty high, inflammation.
And
was
then how
pretty
did you
high.
figure out the fatty liver?
Through calculation, we had this thing where we see BMI, we see waist circumference, triglyceride, and GGT, and with that we could see the fatty liver index was pretty high.
And then you mentioned deficiencies also, na, just now. So all of that you got from the blood work itself.
Yes. We could see vitamin A deficiency, we could see zinc deficiency, proteins were pretty low, B12 was very low, iron was very low in her case, vitamin D was like negligible only.
Yeah, we'll come back to the iron and vitamin D connection, especially with the thyroid. But you mentioned infection. So can we go a little bit and talk about that? Like what was really going on?
So, immune system was quite aggressive with TSH sitting at 22.38 despite medications. I knew that this was just not lack of T4 and it was more to do with autoimmune angle. And plus her weight gain, I suspected it's a deep metabolic dysfunction and we don't see a 38-inch waist of a 14 years old. So, without significant insulin resistance, leptin resistance and total breakdown of gut and thyroid axis.
So you found that the immune system was like signaling massively, and we'll go into the gut because we actually cracked a lot of things from there. But can we go back to the vitamin D and iron deficiency? How did you know what tests from the panel told you that there was an iron deficiency?
So we can easily get a vitamin D test done.
Correct.
And yeah, for iron, usually people just check their serum iron, which is not correct. You actually have to check the total iron binding capacity, the saturation percentage, the ferritin. That's when we get an idea that what is the status of iron getting binding or not, what is the status of iron getting stored in the body or not. So all of these things. And her iron was low, her ferritin was low, her TIBC was pretty high, and saturation percentage was very
And
low.
hemoglobin was low.
Hemoglobin was low. And her hemoglobin has constantly been on a lower end when she joined, and she told us that this is something which is not getting better at all.
Oh, like they had tried to make.
So usually doctors, what they do, just check serum iron and hemoglobin. So dono low hota hai, then they start giving the iron supplement, but they
which
don't
then
check.
gives people constipation.
Yes, and she
ganda-
was already having a constipation concern. So
Damn.
yeah, so iron was pretty low, and then vitamin D is very, very important.
Now, the thing is, you cannot expect thyroid hormones to work if vitamin D is below 15 ng per ml, and her level, Naina's level, was a catastrophic 11.46. Okay, without D3, the T3 receptor is not going to bind to the DNA to activate metabolism, And therefore, it didn't matter how much thyroxine she was being given because the door itself was locked because there was no D3 in the body.
And her iron was also very low. Her iron was 30.8, and thyroid peroxidase is a heme dependent enzyme. So if body is iron starved, it cannot manufacture enough thyroid hormone. And we also saw that ESR was 80. So this girl was in a state of massive systemic inflammation.
Now, if a patient has chronic constipation, like Manisha mentioned, low iron, our recommendation is to look at the gut because the GI map found Giardia, H. pylori, and combined with a low secretory IgA, we saw that the immune system was failing internally. We saw high zonulin, which is then telling us that the gut is like leaky. In Naina's case, I think what happened was this intestinal permeability was allowing food proteins to leak into her bloodstream, which was making the autoimmunity and the thyroid antibodies worse, which is why her, how much was her antibody levels?
It was around 461.
Oh my God, that's really, really high. And like a 14-year-old girl struggling with this. So, Manisha, I mean, I just quickly explained 3 names that I remembered from a GI map, but can you dive deeper into the GI map test and how it helped you solve this case? And I think we did one more test, not the Cyrex Array12. Just tell us about both.
So in her Cyrex RA12, we could see this aspergillus was pretty high, and it's
That's mold, yeah.
and lot of unsolved thyroid cases are that why the thyroid cases are not getting solved is because of mold. It is like a mycotoxin, and your thyroid is very very sensitive to it, so immediately and body goes into a state of autoimmunity. And then in her GMF we could see H. pylori, so that explains why the body was not able to digest the food, because in a state of H. pylori the enzymes are not able to work.
And then stomach acid also drops.
Yes. So her secretory IgA was also dropping. So body was not able to help her. And she's just 14 years old kid. And that's
Did she have any other pathogens other than H. pylori?
so we could see her parasites were pretty high. We could see bacteria which has the tendency of causing autoimmunity, like Citrobacter.
And that came in the GI map.
Yes, that came in the GM app. So we could see a lot of things, getting correlated, that why the doctors even giving her high dosage of thyroxine, the body is not, because body is in a constant state of fight and flight mode, and more, and because autoimmunity is a condition where constant inflammation is happening and happening. That's why her ESR was also pretty high. So to control that, that's what we actually took care
So
of.
basically, you had to figure out one is all the infections that were going on, then the toxins, so the mold toxins, and it's a known root cause for thyroid autoimmunity and the deficiencies, and then her eating habits and the constant hunger and the large portion sizes that she was eating. And was her lifestyle also messed up, like sleep schedule and everything?
So that was not messed up, but one thing we found out that there was a black spot on her tongue, and when we did little dig in there, so we got to know that her dental health was not very good. So there were a lot of bacterias, and at the age of 11 and 12 only she went through 7 to 8 root canals.
Are you serious?
Yes. And dental health again is connected, how your intestinal health is. So that explains that, why an autoimmune reaction was happening. And also her zonulin was pretty high. So that explains leaky gut condition. And a lot of autoimmune conditions, especially for the thyroid, leaky gut plays a very important role.
It does, because then all the gluten, dairy, everything is leaking in, and then through that molecular mimicry, it's going and creating more antibodies against the thyroid tissue. So quite a complicated case. I really wonder how this kid was like living her life, and
On the call, she doesn't even used to talk.
yeah, initially.
Yeah, it took me 6 months to hear hi from her.
Are you serious? I think that was the social hibernation I was mentioning earlier, that she had completely withdrawn from the world.
And you know what happens, like parents also constantly not understanding what is happening inside the body and constantly saying patli ho ja, patli ho ja, patli ho ja. That also creates a body, negative body perception about the, itself.
So, Manisha, now can we talk about the actual protocol that you designed for her? And I think that's what many of our practitioners watching this video would be interested in, right? Like, what did we actually do to solve the case? Because the file is closed, the case is solved. So, what was the protocol that you designed?
So see, initially we worked on, we go slow and slow because she was a child, so we couldn't bombard a lot of things at the same time. So first we started with taking care of the infection and inflammation. So from diet, we started working on her inflammation and infection. So we gave her anti-inflammatory diet. We removed all the inflammatory food items like gluten, you just mentioned, dairy, seed oils, and sugar from her
And
diet.
she was a vegetarian or she ate
She
non-veg?
was a vegetarian, but she was open to take at least non-veg supplements.
Oh, okay.
Then we removed very important thing that we need to take care when you're talking about thyroid cases is goitrogenic foods because that hampers with the thyroid tissues. So we removed all the grains, goitrogenic grains like bajra, and some people are not aware, but even jawar has some amount of goitrogen, ragi has some
So
amount
just
of.
for people who are not aware of what goitrogens also mean, can you just explain that?
So these are a class of anti-nutrients and they hampers with the absorption of iodine and hampers the tissue, thyroid tissues. So that's something we have to completely avoid. Certain vegetables also are rich in goitrogenic, like all your cruciferous vegetables, nightshade vegetables. Again, cruciferous is something which is very common because even the doctor
People
says,
also know
yeah.
this, yeah.
But nightshade vegetables are something which.
And what are nightshade vegetables?
So, vegetables like your brinjal, tomatoes, these are some of the vegetables which has to be completely avoided when antibodies are very, very high.
Okay.
Again, grains also, and your cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cabbage, mushroom, soy, cauliflower, all these vegetables are completely needs to be avoided. And then, because she was having leptin resistance, we could see the pattern of leptin resistance and insulin resistance was there in the report itself. We started telling her to have protein rich breakfast 1 hour after getting up, and after the meal, especially lunch and dinner, we asked to walk like for 15-20
So
minutes.
like move and improve insulin sensitivity.
Yes. We added a lot of supplements also in her diet.
So food was predominantly anti-inflammatory. Like you removed gluten, dairy, which can make the leaky gut thing worse. Then you removed all the cruciferous vegetables and goitrogenic foods from her diet, and protein was the focus. Did you control number of calories, or you didn't really obsess on
Initially,
that?
no,
Okay.
but because her weight was stuck when she came to us, so initially no. But when we realized that after 5 kgs again we are seeing a stuck weight, we actually did a 4 days ka detox also for her,
Okay.
and then we started working more and more on calories. We took care of the complex and the simple carbs in her diet. We introduced ghee and coconut oil in her diet so that she doesn't she gets good amount of omega 3 also from there. We added small portion of fats like through walnuts and pumpkin seeds, but in a soaked amount, not in
Because
unsoaked.
again, the lectins from unsoaked nuts
And
can.
anyway, the anti-nutrient properties were pretty high in the body.
So that was what you did with food, and did you have to add supplements? Because I also remember her gut was like really messed, right? So what did you do for the gut specifically? With food also, did you do anything different with food, or did you just focus on supplements for gut health? How did you do that?
So in food wise, there are certain foods which are like high in FODMAP. So for a period of time, we do.
And what is FODMAP again? If people don't know what FODMAP is.
So these are the foods which are which causes excess fermentation, and when the bacteria are pretty high, then it gives the environment to grow more and more. So for a period of time only, we just keep the people on low FODMAP diet. Also, now when we come to supplement, there is something called as essential supplements.
Right.
Then they call as case specific supplements.
So essentials would be what?
Your magnesium, your vitamin D, then your probiotics, your omega 3, something your body is utilizing on a daily basis, B complex.
Like you need these
You
nutrients,
need
and
this.
they're not coming
Even
from
though
food.
you have thyroid or you are like a healthy person, you need these essentials. Then we have this case specific according to what the RCA was saying. We started giving her vitamin A, we started giving her omega 3, the proteins, because she was a vegetarian, so we have to give some good quality protein. And because she was having gut issues also, so we couldn't directly bombard whey protein powders and all of these. So the best solution was essential amino acid.
She was okay with the
Yeah,
taste.
yeah. Till now she takes and recently we introduced.
We have so many adults complaining about E8
Oh,
taste.
she was a very dedicated child.
Lovely, huh?
Yeah. So then we shifted to GMAP supplements, and
Which are specific to the infections and everything that you found. Okay.
so we combined the Cyrex result and the GMAP result,
So
and
the Cyrex, again reiterate, Cyrex showed us about the mold, and GMAP told us about the infections in the gut and leaky gut and low immune response happening through the gut. Okay.
so for H. pylori, we focused on H. pylori support and mastic gum. Then we could see a lot of parasites. So there's this thing called 15 days parasite cleanse. We did that for her. Then we could see a lot of bacterias in her system. So we did a good immune support phase for like a month or so for her.
You use the iThrive immune support?
Yes, we did iThrive.
And that was enough, is it?
Yes.
Wow. Because her gut like looked really messed up.
Yeah. And then because there was mold, there was candida. So I again focused on that because candida again causes like messes up with your immune system and your immune system start
And it also
directly.
creates cravings, right?
Yes,
Like,
yes. So that explains why she used to like always feel that she's hungry. So
poor kid.
yeah. And for her Zolonin and because it was pretty high, then we give some supplements, so Mega IgG and leaky gut to let her gut get settled down, and that's what helps us to reduce the inflammatory reaction that was constantly happening.
So her gut healed from inside, basically. So we targeted the infections, healed the gut, gave her the food that was right for her body, and automatically the body started healing.
Yes,
Wow.
but this takes time.
Yes, Manisha, we know. How long were you on this case? I think that we should talk about.
1.5 year.
1.5 years. So the kid went from 14 to 15, or she came when she was younger?
Her age, she grew in her age. Her height is also increasing. She's like becoming a teenage girl now, proper teenage girl now.
Wow.
And she's happy because her confidence is coming back.
I think that like feeling at home in your body gives you the much needed inner confidence to be able to deal with the world outside, right? Maybe that's why she started saying hi to you after 6 months. If you want the exact protocol that Manisha spoke about, comment protocol below and we'll send that to you. So, Manisha, if you had to tell me 3 supplements that specifically helped with her thyroid autoimmune issues, which would be those 3 supplements?
So it was leaky gut revive, and second was candida support, and third was immune support.
iThrives.
Yeah.
3 supplements and her gut was better. Wow. We didn't just change her diet, we changed her environment. We mandated 20 to 30 minutes of morning sunlight and barefoot grounding. This reset the HPA axis and allowed her thyroid to heal. We also used red light therapy, cold exposure, and sound meditation to get her out of fight or flight, stress mode, and bring her more into a relaxed state. So, Manisha, can you talk about some of the quantum biology principles that you use to help her heal faster?
So we started with grounding, and we used to tell her to make sure that she's doing a barefoot grounding in the morning and evening, 20 minutes. Then we started telling her to take sunlight in the morning or evening. Usually she used to do everything in evening because mornings were a little rush for her.
Because of school.
Yes, and then we also introduced her to something called as red light therapy to reduce the inflammation. And the favorite meditation that was for her was sound meditation.
Did?
Yeah, so she used to combine infrared and sound meditation together.
Wow.
So she used to love that. And initially we also did, because her weight was little stuck, so we did cold exposure for her.
She did ice baths, no? I remember this.
Yeah. But that was something was not her preference. But the things that she used to love a lot was barefoot grounding and red light therapy and sound therapy with infrared.
Like the actual natural interventions she used to love. So, what were the biggest clinical challenges for you as a practitioner in this particular case?
So, somewhere or the other, we could still see that, her TSH initially was not going down. Her thyroid antibodies were not showing that much improvements. Actually, that's when we decided to go deeper and down and do these advanced tests and all, because
So, at what point? Like, was it 2 months in, 3 months in?
we did in 3 months.
3 months, okay.
Because initially her diet and all was also very messed up, so we worked on that, removed all these things that I just mentioned in from her routine, but still we could see that the kind of spike we were expecting was not happening, and that black spot on her tongue was something which was constantly in my mind, that there's definitely something connected with her gut and her oral health. So that's when we decided after 3 months to go deeper and check these advanced tests, and that's where we found out a lot of things.
So like initially you couldn't exactly crack why the autoimmunity was going on, but once you solved that, what was the drop we saw in that case?
So the result after 1 year was her TPO antibodies dropped from 461 to 286. Her TSH fell from 22.38 to 6.1. That was something very good. Her triglyceride went from dangerous 195 to 72. That's the optimal range. Even her insulin resistance started getting better.
So how much weight did she lose totally?
So her weight loss was around 8.2 kgs total.
Amazing.
Yeah, but her inch loss was remarkable. It was 9 inches.
And this kid was growing simultaneously. It was not even like an adult who's kind of reached their full potential.
And her fatty liver also got fixed. Insulin resistance got fixed from 11.4, it went to 6.2.
So drop in antibodies, improvement in TSH, drop in insulin resistance, improve like fatty liver was completely reversed. Weight loss happened. Kid is happy. She's talking to you. I think that's an incredible case that you solved, and the patience that it took to solve is I think completely hats off to you, Manisha. There. I mean, these are incredible results, right? But the most important lab result wasn't on paper. Naina went from a child who stopped interacting with the world to one who was now actively playing basketball, cycling, practicing yoga. Her skin dryness, which was also an issue, resolved. Her constant hunger disappeared, and her digestion was finally fixed. The takeaway for practitioners here is that chronic pediatric conditions are often a cry for help from a body that's burdened with toxins or is super deficient in many nutrients and has a lot of infections. If you aren't treating mold, parasites, and insulin resistance, you aren't really treating the root cause. You're just chasing a TSH number. And that, Manisha, brings us to the end of this clinical deep dive. Naina Patel's transformation is a testament to the power of a root cause based approach. By addressing the gut, the environment, and even like the parents' attitudes, not only did she lose 8.2 kgs, but she actually reclaimed her teenage years back. So, this is what an exceptional practitioner does. And if you're a practitioner who wants to stop managing symptoms and start reversing chronic conditions, make sure to subscribe. Every episode, we pull back the curtain on complex cases like this to give you the clinical edge you need in your practice.